Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep, I mean really deep, into the heart of mystical wisdom. We're going to unpack a single, absolutely explosive statement from the Holy Zohar that I promise you is going to rewire your entire understanding of the Torah. It's this incredible claim that one specific act of integrity holds the key to, well, to everything. And there it is. Just let that sink in for a second. The Zohar is telling us that guarding one thing, the Holy Covenant, is the same as fulfilling all 613 commandments. Not just an important part of the Torah, not just a big chunk of it, but the entire thing. So how is that even possible? How can one single act contain the absolute totality of divine will? That's the mystery we are going to unpack today, layer by fascinating layer. To even begin to understand this, the mystics point us to one man, Joseph, and I want you to see him not just as a guy from the Bible, but as a living, breathing archetype. Just imagine this for a second. Picture Joseph crowned in the blinding royal brilliance of Egypt. But this isn't just about earthly power. See this radiant covenantal light, a pure divine energy flowing through him like a living river of sapphire. And from that central core, these luminous threads of light are extending outwards, plugging him directly into every single one of the 613 commandments until they all form one unified, glowing structure. He isn't just following the Torah, he is the Torah, completely embodied and integrated. That image, that vision of total completion, that's where we're headed. So here's our roadmap for the journey. First, we'll tackle the firewall of the soul to get a handle on what ultimate integrity really means. Then we'll get into the cosmic engineering of Torah and the secrets of light and number. After that, we'll bring it home and see how to power up your world before we finally arrive at the unified vision. Okay, let's start with the first layer of understanding. We're going to see how Joseph's personal story, that moment of his supreme test, isn't just some moral lesson. No, it's a master key. It's like the technical manual for a huge cosmic secret about the very nature of our own spiritual DNA. The main term here is Brit Kodesh, the Holy Covenant. Now, on the most basic level, this refers to that sacred seal of the covenant and the promise to guard its integrity. And the classic example, of course, is Joseph's test with Potiphar's wife. The Zohar says, "And the Lord was with Joseph." Why? Precisely because in that moment of unbelievable pressure, he guarded this sacred point. He held on to his integrity. And that single act of personal holiness, that's the seed for this entire discussion. You know, to really get the mechanics of what the Zohar is saying, let's use a modern analogy. Think about your soul, your entire spiritual life, as this super complex operating system. It's got hundreds of different apps and processes running all the time. Those are the mitzvot, the commandments. But right at the very heart of it all, there's a core data pipeline, a central processing unit that powers and secures everything else. And that core, that's the Brit Kodesh. This is what's so cool about this slide. It translates this deep, mystical idea into a tech framework that just clicks. So look, when the covenant is guarded, the whole system is secure. Your firewall is up and it's strong. The central data pipeline, that flow of divine energy, is pure, uncorrupted. And because of that, all 613 subsystems, every single one of the mitzvot, they all function perfectly. The output, connection, blessing, flow. But if that core is breached, the firewall is compromised, the data gets corrupted, and all of a sudden the entire system becomes unstable. Apps crash, you get glitches, and the output is just disconnection and spiritual chaos. You see, guarding the covenant isn't just one task out of 613. It's the main job of keeping the whole operating system integrity intact. So we've seen how this works on a personal level, right? Like a firewall for your soul. But now let's zoom way, way out and see how this exact same principle of integrity is literally woven into the fabric of the entire cosmos. We're going from our own spiritual anatomy to the grand architecture of reality itself. This shows the path of divine creative energy, what we call Shefa, as it flows down through these different stages, these divine emanations known as the Sephirot. It starts way up high in the supernal mind, it flows down through the emotional attributes, gets prepped for execution, and then, and this is the key, look at step 4, it reaches Yesod, which literally means foundation. Yesod is the great collector. It's the final choke point, the ultimate pipeline where all the energies from all the upper worlds get gathered, unified, and funneled before they can be transmitted into our physical world, which is called Malkut, the kingdom. This line from the Book of the Tree of Life gives us a peek into the exact mechanics. And this isn't poetry, this is engineering. The Sephirot interact in a very specific order. The light of Yesod first has to connect upwards to pull in and integrate the energy from Had, the Sephirah of splendor. Then, and only when all those upper energies are perfectly collected and unified, it turns its face downward and gives Malchut its light. So the integrity of Yesod, this foundational pipeline, is what guarantees a pure, uncorrupted transmission of divine blessing right into our reality. And boom, this is where Joseph comes right back into the picture. Joseph the righteous, Yosef HaTzadik, is mystically identified with this exact Sephirah of Yesod. The title they give him is Tzadik Yesod Olam. The righteous one is the foundation of the world. What this means is that Joseph, as the human embodiment of this principle, literally was the channel. His personal integrity wasn't just some private little virtue, it was a cosmic function. By guarding his own personal covenant, he was actually maintaining the integrity of the foundational pipeline for the entire world, allowing divine sustenance and blessing to flow into all of reality. Okay, now we're going into the deepest layer of our explainer, what's called the Sod, the secret dimension. We're going to look at the hidden codes of number and light that show us precisely how one can equal all, how a single point can contain and sustain the entire structure. This incredible teaching reveals a core principle. The Torah is basically a holographic system. You know how in a hologram, every tiny fragment contains the entire image? Well, it's the same idea here. This teaches that every single mitzvah, if you do it properly, contains the essence of all the others, which means every single good deed you do, no matter how small it might seem, actually contains the power of the entire Torah. That's the power of integrity. The covenant, though, it's not just another piece of the hologram, it's the central point from which the whole image is projected. Let's talk numbers for a second, because they're never an accident. The number 13 is huge here. The sages teach that 13 distinct covenants were made concerning the Brit, and that number directly corresponds to the 13 attributes of divine mercy, the highest, most sublime expressions of infinite compassion that flow from Keter, the crown, the very highest Sephirah. So when you guard the covenant of Yesod, you are literally opening the supernal channel for these 13 flows of mercy to pour into the world. So here it is, the full equation. Guarding this one foundational point, Yesod, it isn't just another commandment you check off a list of 613. No way. It is the master switch. It's the primary power conduit that enables and sustains the entire system of 613. When the foundation is secure, the whole building stands. When the pipeline is pure, all 613 outlets get the flow. It's that simple and that profound. And to visualize this on an even deeper level, the mystics associate each Sephirah with a specific color, or a mix of colors. And these aren't just random. Each color represents a unique quality, a specific frequency of divine light. So as the light descends, it fractures into this beautiful spectrum of attributes, kind of like white light passing through a prism. This table just lays it all out so beautifully. You see kindness, hesed, as pure white, severity, gevura, as a powerful red. Then tiferet, beauty, is the harmonious blend, which comes out as green. The lower attributes are mixtures of these primary spiritual colors. But now, check out Yesod. It's described as all-inclusive. That's its job. It takes the white of kindness, the red of severity, the green of harmony, and all the other shades, and it unifies them. It reintegrates all that fractured light back into a single, complete, all-inclusive stream, which it then channels into our world, Malchut. Okay, we've been way up in the clouds with some really high, abstract concepts. So now, let's bring this whole grand cosmic teaching all the way back down to Earth, from the architecture of the heavens right into our own lives, and make it personal and actionable. Here are two really good ways to think about this in your own life. For a younger soul, think of it like a video game. The covenant, your core integrity, that's the central power core for your entire game world. If you protect it, the whole world, your health, your relationships, your success, is just filled with light and energy. But if that core gets corrupted, the world starts to glitch out, it gets dark, and it destabilizes. Now, for a more mature mind, think like a cosmic engineer. The covenant is your core system pipeline, and the stability of every single dependent module in your life, your finances, your family, your spiritual connection, is completely dependent on the integrity of that one primary flow. So what does this actually mean for us, right here, right now? Well, guarding the covenants means having radical integrity in all of our relationships. It means striving for purity not just in what we do, but in what we think and what we say. It's about becoming really mindful of our most foundational creative energies and consciously deciding to direct them towards holy and constructive purposes. And, maybe most importantly, it's about recognizing the cosmic law we just spent all this time uncovering, that our most personal, most private choices are in fact the very foundation upon which our entire world is built. Okay, let's bring our journey full circle. We're going back now to that incredible, dazzling image of Joseph that we started with, but this time we're going to see it with a completely new depth of understanding. We can see it now, can't we? Joseph's crown wasn't just made of gold and jewels. Joseph is the living embodiment of a perfected cosmic circuit. That radiant light we imagined flowing through him, that's the integrated flow of the entire tree of life. It's all the Sephirot, all the colors, all 613 pathways, channeled perfectly and without a single bit of distortion through a guarded and holy Yesod. He fulfilled the entire Torah in one act, because his one act of integrity secured the foundation for the whole structure. And so, we're going to end with a question for you to take with you. If you look at the blueprint of your own life, of your own spiritual operating system, what is your Yesod? Which area of your life, which core commitment, which single act of integrity is the foundation of your entire world? Find it, guard it. Because when you do, you're not just performing one good deed. You are literally sustaining your entire universe. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.